All right, welcome everybody to the Abington Conservation Commission meeting. Today is September 23rd, 2025, time 6:30 p.m. And first up on the agenda, we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Anthony Di Natale to fill 1,274 square feet in order to store landscaping equipment, project located at 604 Bedford Street.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Woodward. Woodward.
Thank you.
OODWARD. And I work for Professional Land Survey Associates. And I'm here representing Anthony Di Natale. And when I was last before you, at your last meeting, we have presented all of our information, our calculations and plans, showing that we did in fact meet the requirements for non-jurisdictional area of ILSF. Okay? The chairlady was nice enough to mention to me that you also have a local bylaw based on square footage, okay, which neither I knew, my engineer, or my wetland scientist. So we went right back out there, okay? We had Ken Thompson reflag the areas out there based on soils and hydrology, okay? And we located all of that stuff by GPS, and we put it on the plan. And I have the large size plan, okay? I'll give these. And I also have some reduced size plans. And obviously, if you need the larger size, I'll be glad to give it to you.
I need a large.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, my eyes are not as good either.
I always say that I give these,
We can share a
but
big one.
none of us agree.
Look at that.
If we could roll up and hit you with it.
I'm too vain to get rid of. It's funny.
Jack knew you'd have it.
And I highlighted the areas.
It ain't easy.
Looks not easy at all. Oh, look how it goes. It goes this way. Okay, look. Tuck it in.
I'm gonna swap them next. You have to swap them.
That's good. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Okay. How did it change so much? How did it? Okay, I don't understand.
I'm putting up on the easel the same exact plane that you're looking at in front of you. As you can see, the wetland areas.
Charlie,
Oh, yes, sir.
if that's the one area at least.
As you can see, the wetland areas are inside the top of the bowl that we located, that you saw in the first plan, for the isolated areas subject to flooding. Okay? So it actually consists of two separate small wetland areas. And we showed originally what we had for the ILSF, and inside of the two small wetland areas. They total 400 and something square feet added together. $490 square feet, with both small areas added together. So we feel that that's kind of, I know it's a wetland and I know all wetlands are important, but I feel that that's kind of an insignificant area. And Ken Thompson, our botanist, said that he'd be more than happy to go out there with any of the board members and go over the fine details of the actual delineation.
I would appreciate that only because looking at his report here, he said one thing, and then once it was brought to your attention that it could be an isolated vegetated wetland, now it's gone from 1,274 square feet down to 400.
Total.
So how did
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, I've been doing this forever, for over 50 years.
Yeah.
When I actually was doing the site, doing the topo and everything, I could tell just by, and I'm sure some of you can,
Yeah.
I could tell just by looking at that depression that we met the state regulation.
Yeah,
Okay, so what we did was we located that, what he flagged as the outside of the bowl, okay? So I didn't really put a lot of credence into the actual location of the wetland species themselves.
Okay.
This time, we went out with a scope on our rifle.
Okay.
Right? Figuring that, sometimes a hand grenade is close enough. Okay, I could tell by looking at that we were well going to be under the state regulation.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure that you had a concern with that, so I wanted to make sure that everything was to the ultimate perfection. So, but like I said, Ken had said to me today, he said, I'd be more than happy to come out with the board, go over the whole thing. He says, I'm sorry, Charlie, he had some personal problems. So
yeah, I'm very much aware, yeah.
Okay, so he was running a little bit crazy. He said, I'll get your report together. He says, but it's easier if some of the board members just come out. He says, and I can explain to them in the field and show them the finite of.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not familiar, I mean, I know what this property is, but I've never been out there.
It's a very strange, it really surprised me when we were doing the survey. You're right on Route 18.
Right.
And 300 feet off the street, you'd think you were up in a glacier field in the middle of Maine. There are rocks out there piled one on top of another. And I think you can tell them, these rocks are, as big as a truck.
Yeah.
Okay? One on top of another. There's very little dirt out there.
Yeah.
Okay? It's almost all rocks, big rocks piled one on top of another, with some huge trees out there. So, again, I'm sure that Ken can, within reason, make it any time that's convenient. And I can make it any time 24/7.
Yeah.
I'm available.
I mean, because this is a big difference, and I'm just looking at it going, wow.
We're looking at two separate things.
Right.
Okay. One is isolated areas subject to flooding,
Right.
which we were trying to prove the first time. This time, what we're trying to prove is that we have under 1,000 square feet of vegetated wetland. So we're looking at apples and oranges.
Okay. Because looking at this, the first plan,
Yeah.
it looked like an IVW,
Yeah. Like you said,
which has jurisdictional regulations under the town of, under our regulations. And now we've got, okay, so now he's mapped it out, I got it, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
It would be good to meet with him.
Yeah.
And have him explain to us.
Yeah, because everything he wrote down here, because I'm reading this and I'm going, well, it's got 38% of this, 38% of that comes to 78, okay, so it's like IVW, that's what prompted me to think that way.
No, believe me, I understand you.
Yeah.
And that first presentation is my fault, because like I said, I kind of was, staring at the one thing I thought we were satisfying and not taking into consideration. A lot of the towns we work in today, have home rule bylaws, okay? And I probably should have looked a little bit closer, but I did
I'm
not.
surprised Ken didn't know that, because Ken's come before us many times with many projects.
And Sean too.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't point fingers at other people.
Okay.
It's my fault. I made the presentation.
Okay.
I should have known that.
I'm not trying to, but I mean, yeah, we all make,
I actually said
Yeah.
to both of them, I said,
Yeah.
the board was very nice
Yeah.
and very polite. I said, and the chairwoman pointed out very politely, Charlie, I think you missed something.
Yeah.
I says, and they were nice enough to let me kind of go back out there, take a look at that, and this time give you the information that you need in order to look at the actual square footage. Because as you know, we're working with cubic feet with isolated areas subject to flooding. So
Right.
we're working with a different criteria and a different form of measurement,
Yeah.
square foot versus cubic foot. But again, if you get out there, right, and you have any questions or anything that I have not presented clearly, believe you don't know me, but like I said, if there's anything you need, you let me know. If we don't know the answer, we'll find the answer and we'll get it right back to you. Okay?
So before we go out there with him, can he give us an updated
Report.
report?
yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
And then we can compare the two and he can explain to us, this is why I changed X, Y, and Z. We
Yep.
actually have data to look at in addition to,
I understand
sometimes
that.
when you go out and you say, oh, there's a tree, it's a little bit different than actually looking at, what's.
No, and we do have to have all of the paperwork together to put in the folder.
Right.
to make sure if it comes up as a question, we have a reason for why we did what.
Documentation is important, yeah.
And Ken does a good job of
He
including
does a very good job.
Yeah.
everything that we ask for.
Ken and I have been working together for over 30 years, 35 years. And the same with Sean Hardy and I.
Yep,
We've been working together for almost 30 years. We were laughing about that the other day. It's been almost 30 years.
has it really?
We're working with two good people, and we like to do that. And we do like to do a nice job, okay? And we want the boards over time.
I think Sean Hardy, didn't he do another project we were looking at, a restoration?
His name sounds very familiar.
Yeah, it was, over on 139.
I can't remember.
I think we've worked with him before.
Like
Yeah.
I said, over time, we don't do a lot of work in Abington, obviously. And that's because Russell Wheatley was a very, very good friend of mine. So anytime there was work over here, we just called Russell, okay? He's obviously passed away now, so,
Yeah, it's been a few years.
yeah. So we do take a little work over here. But like I say, hopefully, like some of the surrounding towns, you'll see us, you'll understand how we work. We'll get a good reputation with you. But this is the first project we've done before you of any size, so.
I appreciate that, though.
Well, I've given Nick my cell phone number.
Okay.
Anyone on the board is more than welcome to call me, believe it or not, 24/7. If you have a problem, you have a question.
I will
feel
not
free
be
to call.
calling you at 2
I
a.m.
don't
I'm
have
sorry.
any, I don't have any
Not
friends.
happening.
I don't have any family.
I might
don't
call at
have
2
any
a.m.
hobbies. So this is what I do.
Good, thank you very much.
No, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you.
But it is a big change, and it's nice to, it would be nice to see it, you know?
I agree.
I look at his reports, because I'm like, that was the first thing I looked at was his report, and I'm like, okay.
And I can understand the philosophy of when he initially looked at it.
Sure.
He's like, okay, it's an
Oh, yeah,
isolated inland. He's like, okay, and it was within that size. If it was closer to being, I could see him looking at it finer.
yeah.
And then
Right.
I can understand the thinking with it, you know, so.
I did too, that's why Lynn, when
Right.
she said bring it up, I'm like, well, yeah, here's my IVW and here's my ILSF, and I'm like, oh, wait a
Absolutely.
minute.
So
yeah.
I kind of look forward to seeing his report. You
I
know,
do too.
'cause the
Yep.
the
He's
initial
very good.
report was a very broad, and after visiting the property,
He's pretty specific,
he's
yeah.
specific, but not with.
He's calling out his vegetation here, his facultative, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got his calculation here, so it's like, it would just be nice, like Lynn said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
that's it.
it was after, definitely after going and seeing it, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a boulder in the middle of it that.
Oh, my God, no kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen some unusual sights.
Believe me, that I felt like I was walking through. I felt like I was hiking up in New Hampshire, walking through the
Wasn't
property.
that amazing? Did you ever expect to see that out there?
When were you
I
there?
mean,
Before the last meeting.
yeah,
Oh,
last meeting.
Yeah, you know, it's one thing I've learned about this area is you never know what to expect because
No.
when you go into the woods around here, it's
It really is amazing.
you know, with where I grew up in North Weymouth, the glacier activity in that area,
Yep.
just you go through the woods and all of a sudden there's a rock the size of a house
Yep.
versus I remember being in other areas that you'd be in a yard and all of a sudden half the yard is bedrock and there's nothing else around it, you know. And then being with what we see in this area, to all of a sudden see that, it makes me wonder if this whole area is like some sort of valley or glacier down, you know. It definitely be cool to see, or who knows if we're going back to 1800s or whenever when they cut Route 18, if that was a push off, you know, we
Tell
could.
you, that's an awful lot of big rocks to be just pushed there.
Yeah.
well, there was a rock in Abington, it was called Lady Abington, and they had to blow her up because they were putting in 139.
Yeah. It's
Back in the day, it's a piece of history, that's all, it was a piece of history, I just remembered it.
it's just looking at that was definitely
Anyway,
not what I expected
No.
to see, you know, from
So-
what we see from most of the properties around here. It's
And like I said, so close to Route 18. I mean, it's, you know, it's like time traveling. It's just,
yeah.
yeah, you know,
So Nick has all your contact information,
you do.
Ken Thompson is willing to go out. Okay.
Okay, so we'll go
We need
with
his narrative on his new,
sorry,
14th.
14? Okay.
so we'll just need his narrative on this new plan.
Okay.
And next meeting is October 14th.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and continue the meeting until the 14th?
Okay.
Okay. I just need to get motions.
Motion to continue this meet, all right, I'm making a motion, I don't even have my thing in front of me. Dummy.
SE 084 dash,
No, up there, it's an RDA request for 604.
604 Bedford Street.
That's the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thanks for coming back.
And thank you for your availability, thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Charlie, once we get Ken's narrative, I'll work on getting the site visit scheduled.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Message is all that shit when I have.
Yeah, sounds good. Then we'll have that. But just for the commissioners, it's a little bit of a difficult walk site out there. Keep ready for it.
really,
You won't.
Yeah.
really. I'll have
Very
to have
much.
my cane by then, so I think I can.
Unless you give us permission now to just bulldoze a path.
Can't do that,
Sidewalk.
can't do that.
I can make that happen.
Can't do that.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone without a plan that wants one?
I'm not doing.
Good, thank you.
Did you see him?
Yeah, the ones that we told, called Lady Abington, do the research in Abington, you find your
Okay.
whole right up on her.
No, I just know that. And then the last one, everything.
So you walk the high tension wires and pick out some of the rocks out that way.
Those are there.
Crazy. You walk the high tension
Okay, I
wires.
forgot to say at the beginning of the meeting, there was a resident who complained about a lot of conversations going on.
Oh, sorry.
amongst Numbers, so, the way the system is set up, it gets all messed up if we have
Too many
too many
discussions at once.
discussions going at once, so just wanna make that clear.
Be mindful.
Be mindful.
Thank you.
Everybody to have their say, but yes.
Thank you.
With that, let's go on to the next thing. SC 0840583, notice of intent filed by Abington Department of Public Works to construct a rotary, improve topography, and improve drainage. Project located at Hancock Street and Chestnut Street right of way. So we approved this at the last meeting, and now we're just gonna do the order of conditions. Yeah, I can.
Thank
Is that a blank one? I'll take an extra, I like to have extras. Thank you.
So I'll wait for Nick. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at this ahead of time.
What, the order of conditions?
It's okay if you didn't. I'll try to go slow-ish.
Okay.
So the first one I have is A1.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the limit of work line should be.
I
I
think
think
when,
it's 0 in some spots.
It's 0 in some spots?
yeah,
Yeah,
I think when we looked at it last time, we were looking more, just being mindful of, sediment controls, as far as with the storm drains, and then if they have to do any,
Yeah, what are those bags that they put in the storm
the
drain?
drain, yep, in the storm drains, the
Yep.
silt filters, and then if they have to, obviously do any excavation, if they have to do any dewatering of open trenches or anything, make sure those are pumped off out of the wetlands or through sediment traps.
that might be addressed in the other ones, so,
Okay.
So right now for A1,
Just leave it.
work line would be 0.
Yeah. Currently, there's sidewalks right up to,
excuse me.
the culverts, everything like that. They're gonna be working in it.
I mean, if you have to put a number, Could you put 1 to 2 feet? I guess.
Can we just say, just change the siltation fence barrier should be placed next to the wetland edge?
Under the,
On those there, yeah.
Can we say at the edge of work limits?
the limit of work line,
The limit of work is sometimes like right there.
yeah.
You've got the
Well,
stream and then they're gonna,
and then even in some cases, they're gonna be working within the
Switch.
wetlands. We just wanna make sure that it's set between them and the work. Or, so that it's. I know exactly the one you're talking with the culverts there, cause I was looking at that. Cause obviously we can't set it as a buffer, cause they're gonna be in the wetlands.
I thought they're doing just, buffer?
No, because they're not really supposed to.
I think as you suggested, where it says prior to commencement, any activity on the site, siltation fence barrier shall be placed at the wetland edge depth because of the sidewalk and everything else, I would just leave it that way. 0 is fine, but you can reword it if you want, just for that one. What do you think?
I think it's reasonable.
Thank you. So we'll strike out work line and just put at the edge of the wetland, at the wetland edge. Will be placed on the wetland edge. So you're gonna strike that line out here.
Which,
Like this, like this,
Yeah.
because you get the sidewalk, you get the storm drains.
it's before this one, right?
I'm gonna say it, take that line off.
Oh, sorry.
No, I can say it, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what do you guys think? Is that gonna work out?
I think it's agreeable, doable. So we're gonna strike out, shall be placed on the wetland edge. You there? Yep.
A2,
Yep.
and A3. A4. There's no replication area, but that's okay. A5,
There's your dewatering.
Yep.
and A6. Okay, and then it says the proposed development for B1. Not alter the peak rate of runoff from the site during the 210 and 100-year storms. Do we want to include that one?
Actually, just backtrack. So are we requiring silt fence on anything?
Edge.
And I didn't know if it'd be possible to start applying anything long-term projects like this. They have a silt fence with a steel mesh in it, where it's a long-term project that I've been seeing on some bigger higher end projects that heavier duty holds up better because it's got more reinforcement to it. I don't know if that's within our ability to require at this level or if we have to.
We can. I mean, we tell them all the time, this is how you're going to stabilize the surface. You can't use straw. You have to use hay, or you have to do,
I'm just thinking
seed or.
anything beyond like a 90-day period that might be something we start trying to require just because it seems to be a common denominator that some fences start to deteriorate and fall and not maintain
Yeah.
versus these steel mesh reinforced silt fences seem to hold up better.
Okay. So can we change that, Nick, to be steel, what was it called again?
I'll pull the exact name of it. I've noticed it on a couple of projects lately that I've been on, and it's definitely got more substance to it. Just especially on any long-term fence. It's wire reinforced silt fence. And this is just a photo of it right here. It's basically got like a,
Oh, I see that. Do you want to pass it down for everybody?
Is it actual metal or is it
yeah,
plastic?
it's a wire.
Metal inside of it?
It's a wire fence as part of the silt fence, so it's actually like a wire fence, so it has substance to it, and it's not just a piece of vinyl
And
plastic.
Wind isn't
the
gonna
project
tear it up.
is expected to take,
Right,
so many
you know,
hours.
I don't see a need for that on a quick, like
Yeah.
a swimming pool project or
What's the
something.
additional cost?
Not.
Might be one of those situations where you buy it once, but it's more expensive. And otherwise, you buy the cheaper one, but you have to replace it all the time.
Right.
yeah, and for the duration of the project.
Yeah.
I can tell you right here, a 3x100 foot roll is $95 at Home Depot.
Oh,
But then
bad. Okay.
a regular,
It's gonna be a lot more than
a
that.
regular silt fence at Home Depot is I just know a lot of our longer term projects, that's just a common denominator.
Okay.
Well, the cost doesn't seem to be,
They're probably comparable over time, even if it's a little bit cheaper. You're gonna get some storms coming through, especially some nor'easters in like March, and rip those regular ones to shreds. Okay, we'll get back to B1, B2. We've got drainage structures. B3? They don't have a stormwater detention basin, but are they working with?
They're installing deep water basins.
Okay. So I'd say then B4, they're not doing a parking lot. So I guess not to B5, B6. And then I have nothing for C. I have D1, D2, and D3. Nothing for E, nothing for F. Do you guys see anything? Just let me know. Do you disagree with me or think I should add something? Let me know. I have G1, G2, G3, G4, G5. Debris stockpiled how far away?
it's such a tight area, I don't know. Where are they gonna put all them?
Yeah, where are they planning on putting it?
I'm not sure of the plan. Everything's kind of tight up there. I don't know how much they're going to be stockpiling. So much as bringing stuff in and out pretty often.
Yeah.
I think separately put a number on this. It might be worth not closing this out this meeting, putting this together, getting over them, see if there's anything that's a real concern to them.
Okay,
And then we can discuss it one more time. So if we put something like 30 or 50 feet on it, they go, listen, there's no way we can do that. We can,
That's where
we can, we
Right,
can,
we can amend
we
it.
can talk about it. They can send us why it's not feasible, and rather than having to do an amended order conditions, we can kind of keep this a little open. It's kind
How
of a unique project for us, I think.
Right.
Because they're expanding it, and so therefore there's gonna be material in and out, and,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if they have a stockpile area picked out or anything like that or what.
yeah.
Why don't we say like 30 feet, and then if they come back and say, oh my God, no, that's not gonna work, then
We
we
can-
can
we
amend
can-
it.
Then we can amend it, because I
It doesn't
think,
mean we have to change it, but we can talk about it.
right,
That's true.
all right, so
Okay.
you're gonna say 30 on 5?
Well, if we put
Then
a limit on it, because I know we've run into, we're working it in that area. If we put like a 24-hour within that area.
So it should be, so you're saying that it shouldn't stay for more than 24 hours? Okay.
You know, we've run into that a lot of times on some of the other projects that, well, how do I strip topsoil within 100 feet of the wetland if I can't pile it?
Right.
So with this whole project being so condensed, the last thing we want is, I'm just trying to think realistically working, you know,
Yeah.
to make sure that they can work within the area, but they're removing it from the area within an adamant time period.
Yeah, for me, I would consider it stockpiling if it's gone the same day.
Right, I just don't want,
So it'd just be more a matter of getting it out to that 30-foot line, in that day.
We could add one maybe, no stockpiling for more than 24 hours.
That would be a G8 if you wanted to add that.
G8?
You could add it as a G8, no stockpiling. is
yeah,
what I'm
because
saying.
I almost feel like stockpiling needs a definition.
Yeah.
Because stockpiling is for storage versus
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
Because reports we've had from outside
Yeah,
monitors have reported stockpiling as active working piles.
So,
Put a definition in.
yeah. What are we going to define stockpiling?
I would consider it to be overnight storage. Once it stays overnight with nobody, once it's there on site with nobody working, I consider it to be stockpiled, personally. If somebody's there working with the pile and some event's happening, whether it be rain or whatever, they can make it safe, remove it, where if it sits for overnight, a weekend, and a storm rolls through, it just runs forever once to run.
Right.
So it's like with a lot of construction stuff, it's safe until all of a sudden everyone leaves, and then it can be dangerous.
Right, I just know
No,
we've
it's safe
heard
till it's
that
never safe.
excuse, we've heard that excuse before, that they're working off that pile in that vicinity. So it's just kind of hard to, I'm just trying to figure out how we can like eliminate some of the commonly heard excuses and define a little better. I don't
Sure.
know. I could be looking too far into it a little at the same time also.
So I think that's a good idea to try to avoid us having to go down there and say, hey, this was in your order of conditions, why aren't you doing it? Giving them conditions that will better help them meet the goals
Right,
so we don't get cranky.
exactly. I'm trying to,
We'll also allow them to complete the project.
exactly.
Right, exactly, because we don't want them to be like, sorry, every single particle of dirt needs to be taken off the site, that's,
Exactly. I'm trying to, while I look at some of these, think of these things in workable conditions for some of these sites as we view them.
so you're thinking stockpiling of,
But whether it be topsoil, asphalt, crusher run if they're setting if they're working to set the new grade where they're expanding, they're going to dump that within the vicinity of where they can be spreading it. But we don't want to see 10 triaxles dumped right there and it be left and worked out of that pile.
yeah,
They can dump and work out of that pile for that area, but you're not going to stockpile and leave it there for the duration of setting base for that entity of the project. That's why I'm trying to think there should be a time limit on, like Nick just said, duration of the shift. Like if we show up during work and there's a pile there, Okay, that's active progress. We drive by after day's end and nobody's on site and there's a pile, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because now nobody is there attending to that.
Well, I think that's the thing though, if we say 24 hours,
That's 3 days,
then
work days.
somebody starts at 7 a.m. and then they leave at 7 p.m. There's no one attending to it. They're still allowed to keep it there. So how would that work?
So say outside of work shift.
So nothing should be stockpiled
Within that vicinity outside of work hours.
for hours. Okay.
Unattended.
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 Yeah.
That's probably the easiest way to cover
They
it.
want
Yeah,
someone
that
to
would
babysit
say-
the pile, that's fine with me too.
Yeah, you want to leave a guy there all weekend sitting in a
He
machine?
can move it if he needs to.
And security guards don't count as attendant.
No, I would.
Oh, there you go.
someone who can-
That's right.
Must be attended by capable person of securing or minimizing issues of the stockpiled material.
Okay. We're doing more than,
Here I go, complicated shit.
no, no, not at all. Please don't take it that way because your points are very valid. It's just that we need to it just tells me that we really need to update this a lot. And we need to make sure that we're covering our bases because we don't need anything, like you said, after hours. It has to be somebody who's capable of being able to handle the situation.
No, and because I know exactly, like, if I looked at that
Yeah.
and it just says attended, I'd leave an apprentice there that's making.
I think
right.
Rich brought that point up, he says, and not a overnight watchman or something.
Right, exactly. I would leave an
Yes.
apprentice there, not an operator.
Correct,
You know,
correct.
and I'm guilty as charged running my work
Because
because that's.
Many eyes on this project, and a lot of townspeople are going to be critiquing it, so let's
Yep.
be as,
And not only that, just to set the standards for everything
Exactly.
going forward. to
exactly.
be
We want to make
streamlined.
sure that we're covering most of the bases that we can think of, and I appreciate that, AJ, I really do. I mean, you run into it in your line of work more. I mean, I would not have thought of that stuff. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
So we're gonna make that like a G8.
We can,
I would. So if we're making that change, I would look at that more as adjusting the language of G5.
Okay.
okay,
Because I'm blinking here. Get in trouble. Just switch up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would look at that more as trying to give them the ability to stockpile. We still have that 30-foot or whatever number we decide there. And then it's giving them the opportunity to be within that. So I'd put it at the end of that sentence, wetland or resource area at the location of rent center service entering the wetlands.
and you would,
And then add to that the unintended.
And then
what was it that you said, AJ? That note, right at the end of that sentence?
attended by a competent and capable person of.
How about an operator?
Well, you don't
OSHA
need an.
certified, a certified.
No, you
something.
don't need an operator if it's a small pile that
Okay.
can be handled with a shovel
Okay,
and sock.
attended by a qualified,
Qualified, certified.
Or when site is not supervised. We get into G1, what an on-site form and everything like that. Someone who's
Yeah.
familiar with it.
And then on-site conditions, do we have anything for snow anywhere within conditions?
I think we can add it at the end for
The
special. That
Okay.
comes at the end.
We should definitely start adding.
Let's finish that sentence that we're gonna add after runoff from entering the wetlands. New sentence will be,
Runoff from entering the wetlands when site is not supervised.
one more time, please, that sentence, how do you want to phrase it?
Right at the very end, before the period, when site is not supervised.
When site is not supervised. Not supervised.
So wait, that's gonna read, all debris, fill, excavated material, construction material, and building material shall be stockpiled more than 30
30.
feet from any wetlands or resource area at a location to prevent sediment from surface runoff from entering the wetlands
When the site is not supervised.
when the site is not supervised.
Yep.
So during the day, you can have stuff a little closer that you're working with. but
When
when
the
you wrap up
site
for the
is
night,
not
We
supervised,
get everything past that 30
Everything's
feet.
moved away. Okay,
period. Okay, so that covers
G5.
G5.
All right, we have G6 and G7. I don't think they're going to need H1.
Any work includes but not limited to integrating drivers.
I think that's more like a,
Yep.
we have a
Construction, building.
subdivision.
Yep.
H2, I think the only successor will be the people of the town of Abington, our children. So don't worry about that. Military H4. And H5. H6.
H6.
A. All of it.
All, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah, all.
G, I don't think they'll be able to do. So
Registry of Deeds?
right away. Can you report something against the right away?
Yeah, you're supposed to record it before you get started.
Okay.
Just there's another one, and this is, we were talking about how some things are seen twice. There's one where it says you have to file the order of conditions before you can start work. And then it's mentioned here again, but as part of the certificate of compliance, which I guess is fine, but
Yeah, I just don't know the process for filing something with the registry of deeds against a right of way. Because I don't think it's a deed.
oh, okay. Can we,
I might be wrong about that, but
I think it would be difficult to add it as an attachment outside of a passing or something like that. You know, it's
Yeah.
one thing if you're doing a subdevelopment and then you're, you know, it's part of the deed being recorded, but to go in and say, I'm adding this to that parcel before it's sold because it's already registered.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, I don't play one on TV, but that would be my understanding.
yeah, so we're not doing G.
I don't think there's a way for
Okay.
them to do it.
Okay, so if there's no way, then skip it. H7, A and B, I think? And C.
This is where you wanted to add the information for the,
Oh, the snow.
that's at the very end. That's at the end for special though, isn't it? Snow storage
Well, I think in the future we should stick snow
under H7.
under H7,
Okay,
but we'll see.
all right.
No sale,
I'm trying to.
H9. And then I1, I2, oh, there's a registry of deed thing. No, okay. I2B. This one is funny. Trees adjacent should be felled away, but then it mentions no stockpiling of erosive material should occur within 50 feet of any resource areas, which it is mentioned elsewhere. So I guess B, C, E, and no special conditions. So now we just want to add snow. What do we want to do with that?
Make sure there's no snow dumping or piling within the wetlands. Because if they have to clear the site, and they're clearing the banks, And then this one gets tricky because I don't know. I'm trying to find them real quick. The conditions for usages of road salt.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be a
Yeah.
no salt area?
it's not a no salt area now.
It's not,
I don't think so.
there's no
Have you guys
sign.
ever driven there after a snow? Seen if anybody's,
I just want to make sure they're not dumping.
Salt alternative, we use, you can recommend that they use salt alternative.
Yes, sand for traction, but I just want to make sure they're not adding additional or excessive amounts to the site beyond normal use. But I don't know enough about the area and the usage requirements currently to really make a statement beyond that. I would just be more concerned about the piling and dumping within the wetlands on the site, because if we start getting any kind of snow accumulation, that's going to become an issue, especially while they're plowing the roads. They're going to need to get the snowbanks out of the way to continue working.
yeah.
And along, snow should be plowed away from wetlands and not stored within
Yeah,
50 feet,
50
something.
feet, yeah.
stored away from the wetland.
Downgrade.
Yeah, downgrade or hauled away
I
if
think they haul it or
hauled if
they get rid of everything else.
hauled if space does not allow storage. But I don't even think we can get to that point, because I have a feeling that might become a cooperation with other departments if it gets to that. No, I just want to make sure they're not saying, oh, here's a spot with no house. Because obviously they can't take a loader and go dump the snowbanks in somebody's front yard.
There's not a lot of room anyways.
Exactly, so that's my concern with the space. You know, they can't dump it in the driveways, they can't dump it in the work zone.
All right, so snow removal should be directed away from what, any resource area and removed from resource areas,
Within 50 feet of resource area.
within 50 feet of resource areas.
Yep, and that should just be a given line on any condition, because that's a DEP thing, as I learned the hard way.
Good thing it hasn't snowed in 3 years either.
Yeah.
Has made it a little easier for more.
Yes. Okay, can we think of anything else?
So on the roundabout, could we request a bit, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about salt substitutes for the area. I don't know if that's gonna be a big issue or not. It might be, so that was my only concern.
Yeah, I don't know anything about what works or what they're
Yeah.
putting down,
Yeah,
but I can't imagine they're gonna go for just a rotary, we're
No,
gonna
I
have
know.
a separate truck or.
no,
you know,
I understand,
I
but
don't know
like,
Logistically, that's just not
Yeah.
practical.
no,
Yeah.
I know.
But I don't know, like what,
Like I know on the state highways, you'll see posted signs that the state controls and has jurisdiction over. It'll say no salt area. I have one right
Thicket
down by
Street.
me.
but in Thicket Street.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be an assault area.
Yeah.
And they.
Drive down there during the winter, you'll
Yeah.
realize it's a no salt area.
No,
around
but
there.
that's when they use substitutes or sand or whatever.
2015.
But, yeah, no, I know.
Bad one.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, never go on. the
That was that
site.
snowstorm every weekend, right?
Every third day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're more concerned about during the construction than the
Okay.
maintenance of
Yeah.
the
All right.
rotary itself.
Okay.
Everything's curbed here too, with the water being
And it's all
directed.
gonna be directed.
So we shouldn't have salt that then sheets right into a stream or anything
Okay.
directly.
Right.
All right.
Once
I mean, at the end of the day, the equipment's going to keep that
Yep.
pretty
Hopefully.
mucky and
Yeah.
not need any of that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
Okay, we're good?
I think so.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I do still think, with this being a little funky, continue one more meeting, get it to them, see if there's any kind of comment.
Okay.
Their
If they think
feedback,
something's unreasonable or anything like that.
yep,
Had a pretty good working relationship so far, so might as well keep it going. And I plan on constructive next week anyways.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
We've
You want-
certainly got time to revamp if need be.
Yeah.
I don't think that we need to have a motion for this, right?
Table it to the next meeting.
Yeah, I think just continue it.
Okay, we should continue.
Yeah.
So we'll continue, or no, I'm not making the motions, right?
Motion to continue to the next meeting.
Wanna read out the SE number?
Motion to continue SE 0840583 to the next meeting for
October
order,
14th.
October 14th to continue order of conditions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Okay, great. All right. So, we have next a review of the Abington chapter, this is town charter, but I think chapter 171 wetlands protection. And, this is gonna be just an informational session. So we're not gonna have any motions or anything like that, but you guys can start learning about what it's like and if there are things that you think should be improved, we can have that discussion at another meeting. But can you guys see this? Let's see.
Yes.
Okay. I'm so used to on Zoom saying, can you see my screen?
Oh. So this is it, okay, all right.
Okay. All right, so I made a little thing. So, the whole reason that you can have bylaws that are specific is because of something called home rule authority. So this is within the Massachusetts Constitution and in MGL, Chapter 43B. So it allows people to adopt and amend different bylaws, and that includes for environmental protection. So one of the benefits of doing that is, we're Abington. We know Abington better than somebody in Boston or somebody in Springfield. So we have unique things that are not found in different towns. If we feel that there are state minimums, they're just not working for us. We need more protection for something, then we can use the bylaw to do that. And that can help, reflect the priorities that the town has. The thing is, everybody has to abide, not just by state law, but also by our bylaws. Doesn't matter if it's wetlands bylaws, any bylaw, right? But whatever is the most restrictive is the one that will apply. So if our bylaw is stricter than state law, our bylaw wins, if you will. The thing is that bylaw has to be consistent with the Constitution, the state constitution, with laws. When the bylaw is passed, and Sean, you can tell me when I'm wrong about these things. It goes to the Attorney General, and they make a determination of whether that will actually work. So we can't weaken a state law. We can't say, oh, we don't want to have 100 feet of protection. We're only going to have 20. You can't do that with the bylaw. It has to be stricter. And the other nice thing about having a bylaw is that we can make our decisions as a town of how are we going to enforce things. And I'm not just talking about conservation, but zoning. They have their bylaws and those decisions about how they do things. Okay. So you guys have heard me use the term interests many times. And what it means is what is the interest of the state, what the state is legally obligated to safeguard. And you guys have probably already seen this before, different interests, the Wetlands Protection Act. I'm not going to go over that too much, but the things that apply are the Federal Clean Water Act, so EPA, Army Corps of Engineers can get involved, the State Wetlands Protection Act, our bylaws, and there's also complementary bylaws that can help us. And so there, what we can do is we can coordinate amongst all these different agencies and different departments to give multiple layers of protection for the wetlands in Abington. Okay, so going straight into, as you know, the Wetlands Protection Act is administered by us and also DEP. And these are the different resources that are protected. We all know about those pretty well. And then performance standards, we want no net loss of wetlands function. You can have an alteration up to 5,000 square feet. And when you get to 5,000 and more, it gets trickier, start to get into limited projects. And then there's requirements for mitigation. Our bylaw was adopted in 2003 and it was updated in 2006. So it's been around for a long time. These are the state interests, and here are the interests that are listed in the bylaws. So you can see like the first 5 are exactly the same. I threw in erosion and sedimentation control. In between that, in protection of fisheries, we don't have protection of land containing shellfish because that's just not something that applied. But if Abington changed overnight, it would still be, it would still apply because it's there at the state level. But we also include rare species habitat, agriculture, aquaculture, and recreational values are considered to be our interests. Okay. And then this, I'm always going to put like what the bylaw has up there, but I'm going to try, instead of you sitting there and trying to read the entire thing, I'm just going to try to give an overall difference. So the jurisdiction we have is this long list, but the key differences that we have is we have isolated vegetated wetlands that are protected. We talked about this a couple times, I know.
Yep.
Couple to tree.
Yeah. There is a limit on pond size in the Wetlands Protection Act, but there's no limit that's listed here. And also vernal pools. So if you have, in the State Wetlands Protection Act, a vernal pool has to be certified by NHESP, thank you.
National Heritage Endangered
And some people
Species.
do that. Some people find a vernal pool and they think that's great, and they go through the paperwork to get it certified. Most people probably don't want to do that. But regardless, in Abington, any vernal pool, any potential vernal pool is protected. So if these, I'm just listing the benefits of why we want to increase that protection. So of course we know if you protect additional wetlands, you're going to decrease the amount of flooding that we have during storms, increasing, having more water bodies that are being protected allows for greater protection for pollution runoff, right? Because now you have a buffer, and so anything coming along is going to get hopefully sucked up a lot in the buffer. And then, especially when it comes to vernal pools, the species habitat is really important for that, so we can have maintenance of wildlife habitat from that, and then of course groundwater recharge, which I think is going to become a much bigger issue because of all the droughts that we're having and not much snow.
Yeah.
Okay, this is taking its sweet time. Okay, so this one is the type of resource area. So I talked about the differences in resource areas. Now I'm going to talk about the buffers that are a little bit different. So just a regular bordering vegetated wetland, same protection as the state, right? 100 feet. And if you guys have questions, stop me. If you have questions or you're confused about something, just let me know. Okay, the ponds, right? Abington has 200 feet for rivers, ponds, and lakes. So that is something that's different. We also have 100 feet for vernal pools, but again, it's any vernal pool, not just certified. Isolated wetlands, the state does ILSFs, we do too, but we also do the isolated vegetated wetland. Rivers are the same, 200 feet. And then lakes and ponds, you can't barely see it because of the zoom thing at the bottom, but it's 200 feet, so it's a larger buffer. Okay, and so why do we do this? So I'm going to talk about 4 reasons why we want to have additional functions, additional wetlands and buffers being increased. So the reason that we want to have additional protection for isolated wetlands has to do with that stormwater and flooding prevention, because those can, take up a lot of water. Of course, they have wildlife habitat values. They help with groundwater, filter pollution. Vernal pools, I mentioned before, they're super important, not just for what we mentioned, but also it's a really good breeding habitat for different amphibians and the things that you want to eat, mosquitoes, types of things. They only last 2 or 3 months out of the year, so they hold water value for, deer and all the other stuff that comes along. But really, you want to keep these there just to help with the food web. And I always think about, okay, you're not helping so much with the cute furry mammals with the big eyes, but you are helping yourself out with everything downstream leading to the death of mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. And then we have expanded buffer zones. So the larger your buffer zone is, you have a pollution source here, and you've got a wetland here. The larger it is, the less likely that that pollution is actually going to make it to the water, because it's going to be sucked up along the way. More habitat, wildlife habitat, always a good thing. Protects our drinking water and better stormwater management. And also, this was something that I didn't even realize until I looked into this, but the state defines a rare species habitat as a very specific list that they have at the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife. So if you are in a town and you find a rare species and it's not on that list, too bad. That's not rare species habitat. But in here, we expand it to any place where you have found a rare species. So if I have, my neighbor finds an endangered salamander in the backyard, then that might be considered a rare species habitat.
Well, it's going to be the proof to say that that's actually an established living area.
I think NAGS has a protocol for establishing, because
Yeah.
part of that area for just an example, the air base, there's a huge, I think it's area 937, that almost all of the entire portion of Abington is a NAGS protected area. And I think it's not just for the turtles, but there was some other species. They have a whole list of criteria that they use.
Now, do we have anything on invasives on the same thing? Okay, because I know the state's list of invasives is very small
Yeah.
compared to what's found in our area.
I thought there's a list of 15 plants.
Yes. I know through my research, some of what I have found recently is invasive, but is not considered invasive by DEP. So it had no legal bearings or no legal procedures to dispose of.
English ivy is one of them.
Japanese wisteria.
Right. Then we have the right to do an independent review. So this is what we're always referring to as peer reviewer. So that's general consultant services. They can do a lot of things. So if we need to have, I'm just listing a couple of things that they could do. Most of the time, what we've been using them for is wetlands delineation, confirming wetland boundaries. But in some cases, we've had to look over an NOI application in addition to doing that. There's other things, they could look at wetland wildlife. This is just some of the examples that they could do for us. In comparison, the State Wetlands Protection Act itself does not mention a consultant, but there is a peer review option in MGL Chapter 44, Section 53G. So you'll hear people talk about 53G a lot. That's what this is referring to. So we mention that in our bylaw. And then we have the watershed analysis mandate. So we have to take into account cumulative adverse effects overall. And that includes damage that's occurred from past activities and unforeseeable future activities, which is different because from the State Wetlands Protection Act, because it's focused just on the project itself, what's going to happen by that person or persons. It doesn't really take into account the past or the present as much. And also we have, we're supposed to be looking at the watershed-wide analyses and take that into it. So it's more of a community scale effort. And it's not something that I had really looked very carefully at until I was going through this, and not sure how we have, if we have been doing that or how to do that at this point, to be honest. Mitigation. So the idea here is we need to, here's the thing, the 3-step legal mandate from the state is avoid. It should be a process where when you first design, you try to avoid, get away from a buffer, get away from a wetland. If you can't do that, then minimize it. Make the house smaller, move it, or something like that. And then if you can't do that, then you mitigate, right? And mitigation can be replication. That's just one example. So for those requirements that we're having, we have the discretion about how much that replication should be. We would want people to have a professional come out and design the replication, figure out what the monitoring would be, and there is an option to have adequate security for performance, and that's not something I think that we've really done before in terms of making certain that, say, replication is actually working, something to look into. And then we have regulatory authority. So this is this gives us the ability to make rules and regulations. It says it shall promulgate rules and regulations after public notice and hearing. So once those regulations are enacted, they're adopted, they have the force of law. It requires a public process hearing. We can't just hey guys, let's make it do it, and then just have one meeting and talk about it. It's actually a separate process. And one of the things that is important is that the regulations are helping to further define what the bylaw is trying to do. So the reason we want to do that is, I'm always saying about how we want to be consistent across applicants. Everybody is different, every project is different, but if we can say, this is our standards that we want you to meet, then you can go in, you could read them ahead of time and plan accordingly and not be, oh my God, you didn't tell me that I needed to have a 50-foot no-build buffer. Well, actually, it's right there. That sort of thing. It keeps the guesswork out, and we're not oh, no, the commission has decided the last 6 months that we like to have this distance. But it's not in writing anymore. It's just something that we feel like doing. Instead, we have a legal basis for to be consistent with everyone. Now, even if you don't have the regulations, it doesn't mean that the bylaw doesn't apply. It's just that regulations, they use the word effectuate, which basically it helps make the bylaw work better for everybody, not just a homeowner or developer. It's just for everyone overall. There's a notification process, and this took me a little while to get my head around. It's a long thing, but the standard for the state is that there's 100-foot notification. So if you're an abutter and you're 100 feet from a project, you need to be notified, right? But if the lot is across the street or across a body of water, they only get a notice if it's within 100 feet. They have, the standard is 7 days before the hearing that they will notify, and hand-delivered certified mail with return receipt or certificates of mailing. Now, we changed this so it's 100 feet from the property line, but if you're directly opposite the activity and you're more than 100 feet away, you still would get notified. So, as an example, if you have a really big road between you and the other person, and they're going to build this huge apartment complex, and the road is more than 100 feet or something like that, then you're not going to get notified. Or if there's a body of water, you wouldn't get notified.
Like Island Grove with the fire station and the people there.
Yeah. There's 10 days. And the other thing is they mention municipalities within the bylaw. I didn't see that language in the State Wetlands Protection Act, and I don't know, honestly, if that
Does it matter?
Not necessary.
I didn't-
If it's not in a butter, it's not in a butter.
Right, that's what I thought. So I'm not certain why that word was in there, but okay. Notice is sent 10 days before the hearing and hand-delivered certified mail, but not certificates of mailing. So the improvement here is that even if you are, the road is 100 feet between you and somebody else's property, you are going to get notified of that. And it gives you more time. You get a notice for 10 days instead of 7 days. Let's say you're on vacation for a week and you don't get the notice and you don't have time to prepare. 10 days, maybe you're on vacation, you come back and gives you a couple days or something. And then certified mail ensures that it's actually going to delivered, because we've had cases, right, where people have complained to us, I wasn't notified, and they get really angry and up in arms and come to a meeting, and we can say, actually, you did. You were notified. Here's the green card. But if it's just certificates of mailing, the applicant can say, look, I mailed it to you, but we don't necessarily indicate that, yes, it was received. So that's one of the benefits of that. Okay. The other thing that we have talked a lot about is enforcement. So we have the ability to enforce the Wetlands Protection Act. The state gives us the ability to do that. We have the ability to enter upon private land for the purpose of performing the duties, but it's important that what we do is subject to the state and the U.S. Constitution. And we don't want to be in a situation where we just walk onto somebody's property, and we need to have a good reason for doing so. And of course, we have a whole process for how we do that. But there's other agencies that we can work with, like town council, select board. If there's criminal issues going on, there's a special thing in the Wetlands Protection Act about what to do if there's a criminal issue, which I don't know how that would work for wetlands criminal protection, but it's a possibility. And then, of course, different boards. So Nick can go over and say, hey, I'm acting as building commissioner. You're also doing a zoning violation at the same time. So the penalty that we have is for $300 a day. And so each day, and this is in the State Wetlands Protection Act as well, every day constitutes a separate violation of the act. So with the Wetlands Protection Act, we would have to take them to court, and it would be up to $25,000 a day. But we have another mechanism for us, which is the $300 a day. So there can be a decision made about, do we want to do this? And there's a whole process in the town charter about how you're supposed to do this. We don't just say $300 right now. We go through the process of, okay, we're going to tell the applicant, or not the applicant, the owner, hey, we have an issue here. And then, hey, you're not helping. Next time we'll vote about whether we want to have it. And it goes on from there. So it's not an immediate slapping a fine on them from day one. Okay, so we also have the burden of proof. So the applicant is supposed to come to us. They have a project. They are supposed to show us all the wetlands that are on the property, how they're avoiding the wetlands impacts. If they can't avoid it, how are you going to minimize it? What are you going to do? Are you going to mitigate it? And how is the effect on the entire watershed, not just the project site? So what we can do is we can ask for that peer review. We can say, hey, we need a wildlife habitat analysis, or we need you to look at this particular aspect of stormwater, or the cumulative impact is something that's unique to the bylaw. But the important thing is that the applicant has the burden of proof of showing us that their project is not going to cause harm to the interests of the act. It's not on us to show that, or to show that it will or won't. And then we have, there's some complementary bylaws that we have, like for zoning. So for example, the watershed district. So that is helping us, it connects zoning issue stuff and planning with the Wetlands Protection Act, because it's helping us with groundwater. And So we're allowed to coordinate with other boards, discuss, how does this affect the wetlands? And particularly the watershed district is meant for flood control. And then we have the tree canopy. So this is another zoning one. We've talked about this a number of different times. So there's a huge purpose for why we want to create that tree canopy. The connection to us is helping the flood control, storm, damage to people's homes, and wildlife habitat, of course, because just if you have a patchwork sort of situation throughout the town, you're going to mess up wildlife habitat corridors. And as we know, I don't know if everyone has taken this MACC course, but they have a slide in there. They talk about how 1 acre of trees sucks up 1 million gallons of water.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the sorts of things that this tree canopy bylaw is complementary to our own. Okay, and there's also another one, the floodplain protection district. And they do mention in this particular bylaw that the development has to be consistent with the Wetlands Protection Act. So this again helps us with stormwater pollution control and our water quality. Okay, so final slide. So this is our bylaws protecting what state law misses. So we have more protected wetlands. We have enhanced buffer zones in some cases. We're looking at cumulative impacts. We have the ability to have coordinated enforcements, like, working with zoning, et cetera. And then there's a little bit more notification that we can give to the public. Okay, so this is my sort of cheesy ending sentence that I think, the people of the town voted it goes far beyond the state minimums. And that's it.
Thank you. That was a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think my biggest question on that is, as we talk about the burden of proof being on the applicant, maybe we should have some sort of mechanism that instead of having them have the burden of proof and then say, well, we don't like your burden of proof, we're going to get a peer reviewer, if we can have some sort of mechanism to come up with a mutually acceptable person to evaluate the situation that we're comfortable with. We know we've worked with some people in the area that we're comfortable with, to not add that additional burden to them, that somebody that we trust, that we can say, okay, well, if you're going to use this person, we're going to be okay. You know what I mean?
I don't think we can do that though, because then we're recommending somebody to do essentially a peer review.
But I think there are people that we would be trust that we use as peer review that would be, we've got 5 contractors that we've used in the past that we consider to be highly professional and highly ethical. You know what I mean? Is that something we can do or can't do? As opposed to adding that additional cost when they say, okay, well, this is who we were going to use, but we're going to use these guys. Okay, well, we're going to now have you pay for this guy to now review that guy's work.
Are you talking about a contractor or are you talking about a wetland scientist?
We're talking about a wetland scientist.
We do have wetland scientists. I mean, I have a list that we normally go to and ask for peer review. The only problem is that when we first started using the peer review, which has been available since forever, why it was never used in the past, I don't know. MACC was the one that raised that in the process of getting their certification. I had no idea. But when you find them, sometimes when somebody is looking for a peer review, they will steal ours. And when they like LEC was somebody who we first used right off the bat. Mark was wonderful working with him, but then planning took him away from us, and he can't represent. So, I mean, BSC has been good to us. Smaller outfits like Bob Grady, there's 2 peer reviewers, one in Canton.
So I'm just trying to say, so if they come to us and they're looking to use someone, are you saying for us to suggest someone for them to use.
No, I'm saying that maybe we should have a thought process that there are peer reviewers or people that do, contractors that we know do good work. That we're not, I just feel like there are cases that we're overusing peer reviewers and we're adding that cost, especially to some of the smaller projects to review stuff. And it's not a cheap cost.
And it kills me with some of these. It definitely is unfortunate when you see people hire some of these biologists, scientists, and everything that we've never heard of, we've never seen, and they show up and we're like, what the heck are they doing?
Right.
But it comes down, we can't even have a list for them to go off of, though, by ethics. So I don't.
Yeah, I
even
mean,
know
we don't want it to be a
how-
conflict of interest or a breach of ethics.
I mean, to your point, most of the projects that we use peer review on were large projects that had many resource areas. It wasn't just a BVW. It wasn't just this. And when we did have peer review, and when we had a circuit rider, he came out and did it for free. We lost our circuit rider, and the state has been very slow in replacing him. And we have sent, I know I have sent several emails, Lynn has. I've taken it almost to the State House.
Well, they have that new bill that's going to give money.
Right, but I just want to finish my point. So when we have had peer review, in each and every case, the wetlands were understated, and we found additional resource areas that weren't pointed out. So it's to the benefit of the town, which is what we're supposed to do and what we've been given the responsibility to do. I don't think we use it willy-nilly. I don't think that we've used it and it's not proved to be a worthy thing to do.
One thing that Andrew told me a long time ago was, he said, every wetland line has to be checked. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Every wetland line. You're talking about somebody wants to put an in-ground pool or something. We need to go out there and check it. And he said, yeah. And I said, how is that going to work? And he goes, well, usually people have conservation agent, because we didn't have one at the time. And we don't have the materials, what we need, like a Munsell chart or Dutch auger, in order to do it now. So that's how most conservations do it. And if we had our own person who could do it, or if we get someone really qualified at it, then we wouldn't need peer review so much.
Excuse me, but two of the peer reviewers I do have are actual conservation agents in Norfolk County.
Yeah.
Actually, 3 of them are.
Yeah.
One is Canton. Regan, I can't think of her last name.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not saying that Nick, I'm not trying to make it sound.
Yeah, we're not trying to.
No, I'm just saying,
Conservation's not my only focus.
no, I know, you have so many hats
You wear
that you
several
wear.
hats, yes.
I applaud everything that you do because you're very good in interceding for us and doing a lot of the paperwork, and I appreciate that more than you can.
One separate thing too, which we got that class Thursday, all you guys are coming to.
Yes,
Just educating yourselves through things like that
yep,
kind of increases the comfort with making decisions. Whereas, you get a report, it's thick, a lot of, heavy verbiage, everything like that. Going through them, even if you don't looking things up, get more comfortable with it.
yep.
Then you don't feel as much of a need to get that help. Something like a smaller project, class like Thursday, something you might not have been comfortable looking at before. Now maybe you are, and you don't feel a need to
That
pass
was-
that cost on.
One of the best things
Just
we had,
more and more. There's always going to be projects that are just beyond what the commission can handle, time-wise and things like that.
yeah,
But getting more of a groundwork and a better knowledge, you quickly get more comfortable with, establishing things and making decisions on your own, which, ends up being a benefit to the town and the applicants and everything like that.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a 5-acre property, you've had someone come out and do a wetland.
All right, this is a trailer.
We're not going to have the ability to go out and then check it ourselves even after we have this training.
it's not going to be feasible for any of us
Yeah.
to do that. And I keep, IVWs are on my mind a lot because it seems like every time we do a peer review, they go, oh, by the way, there's 2 IVWs here, there was an IVW here that they're missing, and I'm just wondering if people are just not reading the bylaw carefully enough before they go ahead and do that. So we've had that mistake happen, and it wasn't just from tonight, it was several other things. But, you know, we're kind of at a disadvantage in this town compared to a bunch of other towns in terms of what we can do. And we just sometimes just need help. And that's what the bylaw and 53G allows us to do. But I don't, you know, and Andrew mentioned every wetland line was going to be checked. I kept thinking, you're going to do peer review
That's a lot
on
of
every
work.
house.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know
I mean-
that.
I mean, one thing if he was at our fingertips and could come out and do it, and he did. He came out many times for us.
As we have recently learned, there is the potential to help a client if we had a bylaw in place, or a resident, not so much a client, if we could have a consultant on site while they're doing test pours or delineation to work with them at the same time versus having to hire a peer reviewer to go back at another time on a large scale project.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think we can do, I think, you know, having, you know, retaining a peer reviewer to be able to go out and work like you just suggested isn't something we could do monetarily. It's just,
No, I'm saying as far as, okay, I've hired a wetland scientist to come out, do test pours and everything. I'm paying X amount right now. If it was going to cost me $1,500 to hire a consultant to come out from the town to supervise and work with my biologist on behalf of the board at that point versus $6,000 2 months later to do it again because the board doesn't agree with my biologist. There's no literature in place currently to give us the authority to push that. But that's what would make a lot more sense to streamline, be economical, and save money for the applicants.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how that would work though. When it came to, so one of the things is, and we noted from another property, is that the peer review, the ability to do it for like wetlands delineation does not apply to enforcement. It's only for an application. So if we have an enforcement mechanism and somebody has filled in acres of wetlands and we just do not have the time to go through a delineation with them, we can't hire a peer reviewer to do what you were doing, which is instead of them coming and we like, oh, we don't like that, go back and do X. Instead, we could have hired a peer reviewer from the beginning to say, you should sample here, here, and here. That would have sped things up and I would have felt a lot better if we had some, but we can't do it with the current bylaw. And I don't know if that's something that we could potentially add that in.
I think having the ability to do so would definitely
save time and money.
save time and money. And that seems to be the biggest complaint all around is how
Back
much
and forth,
people
back and
have to
forth.
spend in the back and forth and back
Yeah,
and forth.
it was kind of like the same thing when we started with the NOI and the NOI process. How many times did we have to keep moving it because we were missing something. And once the NOI checklist became adopted, it simplified it. They knew right up front what we were looking for, and there was very rarely do we have a case where something's missing. I see your point.
It's very easy for us to look at Mass Mapper, see the intricacy of a property, and know right off the bat
It's a guide.
What's that?
It's a guide.
Right.
Yeah.
To know that, okay, this property is going to have a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of variables. Let's bite this in the butt, save us all the headaches right off the bat versus going back and forth and dragging some of these projects out over a year just to send them back to other places and costing the applicant 3-4 times what it could. You know, I just know, in my opinion, if I could spend a third of what it ultimately would cost to get it done,
Yeah.
I'd be all in favor for it.
Yes.
Never mind the fact that my wetland scientist that's working on my behalf in my favor could then work hand in hand with whoever we hire to go out. The two of them can, instead of being back and forth, you know, the two of them can, no, I don't think it's because of the, you know, it would just be a lot more streamlined. It would probably be in the best interest of everyone.
Well, I think that we've had some cases where people have, so if we've set they come before us and we're like, that's great and everything, but this is, you know, a 5-acre parcel, we need to have a peer reviewer. They will go out at the same time with them and then
Right,
say,
absolutely.
do you agree with me that
Right.
this is an IDW? And then they can work it out in the field.
Exactly.
And that's it, and it does save a lot of time, it's no come
It would just
back,
be
report.
awesome if it was one print, one plan, one delineation.
Yeah, unfortunately,
No two projects are ever the same.
No, absolutely. But if we could have something in writing to give us the authority or the ability to institute, because we've seen several situations where that would have been highly beneficial.
But you also gotta think about being consistent. If you do one thing for one guy, say it's a small project, a pool, and all of a sudden we let them do certain things, and then if there's say like a apartment complex, they could always come back and say, well, you guys said.
did it
it's
for this
okay.
one, yeah.
And so if we're not consistent, we can, you know, that's why we gotta maybe think of something where we're all consistent, where someone can't come back and say, well, you let this guy get away with it, and you saved him $1,200 instead of, you know, $500, you know. It's just, we have to be consistent, because if we're not, everybody's gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You know, I just hate being seen as we're picking on some of these people when
We shouldn't be picking on anybody. We
No,
should be
yeah,
just
exactly.
no, in that
pointing out the errors and
and I hate that
make
it's
some
seen,
recommendations for corrections.
it's
Exactly.
seen that the accusations that have been made towards the board, and then the continuations of some of these situations, it's some of these things that have come before us could have been very quick, cut, and dry. And then whoever they hire hurts the people in the end ultimately.
And that's out of our control as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, this was a good start.
Yes. Nothing we're going to solve this evening.
No, information wise.
You know, I just,
Do we have any questions from
Can I
the
have a
audience?
printout of yours?
Please feel free.
Would you like a mint?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I won't forget it. Sean Riley,
Okay.
5 Street, little attorney, you know. I'm not a wetland scientist, and I don't say that I know everything about the wetlands bylaw, but when I saw the notes you guys were going to talk about the local bylaw and proposed amendments, I read through it. Nothing really jumped out at me initially, except for what I think you distributed. Did I send out earlier?
We didn't
No, we didn't get a copy.
Okay, well, I brought extra copies.
Oh.
I know you're not making decisions today. I noticed there's a lot of good information there from Lynn, although as usual, some of it was subjective. It was, we should do this, and I think there's some people who say, don't do that. And I thought, like you showed it, my memo was talking about notice. I think one of the big problems we have is when there's a conflict with the state law and the local law. Because all the engineers, as you know, and it says it in my memo, there's no surveyor, no engineer has an office in Abington. They're all out of town. They're all out of town. And every one of them is trained and all know the state law. So the first thing that comes in is they know the state law. They know what the Rivers Protection Act, they know what the Wetlands Protection Act says. And they don't know every single town's bylaw. And yes, they should be looking for it, but whenever there's an inconsistency, there's got to be a really hard look at why. Should we try to be more consistent? And the fact that this bylaw is dated 2006, I think there's some tweaks, especially in the notices. Like, the Abington bylaw says you have to hand deliver your notices or certified mail. The state says hand delivered certified mail or certificate of mailing, which is basically a cheaper, less costly way to deliver it than certified mail. DEP allows the certificate of mailing. And honestly, this board has allowed that, just kind of just let it go. Even though our bylaw says that, the state allows it, so let it go. I think we should update the bylaw to specifically say we allow it just like this, the rest of the state law does throughout the Commonwealth. No negative effect, but a good thing. Same thing with sending out notices. The state says at least 7 days in advance. Ours says 10. Just creates a conflict, and all of a sudden someone sends it out 7 days, because that's what they do in all the other surrounding towns or wherever they do their business, and then Abington trips them up because it's in one line of our bylaw. Why? I don't know. Tell me why it's 10. You said it's an improvement on your thing. I would say it's an inconsistency that just creates problems when you're having hearings. Now you're going to say, oh, it's a defective notice, you're going to have to re-notify, you're going to have to come back. So I just want you to think about why should it be different from the state. And the third one that I know, same thing under notice. I forget what it was. One was the 7 days versus 10 days. One was the certificate of mailing.
Who in a butter is?
Oh, who in the butter is? And Lynn mentioned that. So the state says, if you're in a butter to the property, you're going to get notice. Or if you're across the street, you're going to get notice. Or if you're across the pond, you're going to get notice. But the state says, as long as you're within 100 feet of the property, and you mentioned Island Grove, it's a great example. So if someone who lives on Park Street, or Park Avenue, I should say, or on Washington Street side of Island Grove, wants to put in a deck in their backyard, under state law, they don't have to notify the people on the other side of the pond. But under Abington's bylaw, they do. And that's all those people on the other side of the pond. Why? I think it should be aligned with the state. The state says it's sufficient. Why does Abington say it's not? And it's only really going to come into effect in very limited circumstances. When there's a large pond, Cleveland's Pond, Island Grove, I don't know, there is no 100-foot wide roadway in town, so it's not going to happen. But again, why the conflict? Let's try to be consistent. So those are my three suggestions on how that section under notice could be revised so there's no conflict and there's no surprises to anybody who comes before the board. Everybody who comes before the board isn't, I can't say everybody, because you guys probably have other notices, but most people who come before the board, most professionals come before the board, really they're coming with a plan that fully conforms with the Wetlands Protection Act and whatever regulations they have. They think they've checked all the boxes and do everything. They're trying to comply because they don't want to have free lands. They let that one hear, and you guys say good job, good job. And then something gets thrown at them like, oh, well, our bylaw says this though, so and I guess that happened to the gentleman in front of earlier tonight, where you said there was something in the local bylaw that was different from the state bylaw, which I had no knowledge about. I don't know what the difference really was or why there's a difference, but those are the type of things that come up a lot. So wherever there is a difference, I don't think it's necessarily improvement. I think it's kind of a trap for people, and some of them may be worthy, but some of them maybe you should eliminate because the Wetlands Protection Act has been updated, but our bylaw is 19 years old. Okay? There are, you can promulgate regulations. And you made the statement, I don't pick it on you, your presentation said that it's for, I throw it down, it's better for everyone. Not necessarily for your property owner. If you own a piece of property and your backyard is 200 feet from a pond, for the first couple of decades, as long as you didn't do anything with 100 feet of the pond, you're okay. But then Abington changed the rules on you. They made it 200 feet from the pond. So now, if you innocently put a deck or a pool out there and keep 100 feet away from the pond, you conform with state wetlands laws. But Abington can now fine you $300 a day or give you an enforcement order and say, get that out of there. Why? You say the extra buffer is good for everyone. It's not, because one of the restrictions on regulation of land is at some point it becomes a taking of private property rights. you're really restricting what people can do. And I'm speaking specifically on single-family homeowners who seem to be getting caught in these traps a lot, where people want to put pools in or put in decks and things like that. Because when they first talk to their wetlands or surveyor, they're saying, yeah, say 100 feet away, you're good. And then all of a sudden they find out, no, you're not here. A vernal pool is now, what is it, 100 feet, 200 feet? It's different in Abington than it is in the state regulations. Again, why? I'd like you to really consider some of those. One of the things that really have become a problem is, as you know, the town meeting a couple of years ago had a new zoning bylaw go into effect, the tree bylaw. And it talks about that the applicant is required to submit a plan that identifies the location, every tree over 6 inches in diameter. 30 days before that went into effect at town meeting, you guys issued a regulation that says you want a plan that shows every tree that's 5 inches in diameter or more.
Only in the buffer and
Only in
wetland.
the buffer. But that means our surveyor has to now draw 2 different plans for the same project because we have 2 different regulations.
Well, we could always amend a regulation to say 6 inches, and that way it would be, I mean, our concern was only
I
for
agree.
the buffer.
I agree. I think that's where consistency makes it work. And then,
Right.
because then that person can bring the same plan to you that they bring to the planning board. And you guys are all looking and you're all making decisions on the same thing. And for the longest time, and I think you guys know this too, the planning board does use a consulting engineer, a review engineer. So all the drainage designs are reviewed not only by the engineer that brings in the plans, but by the town's review engineer. So they're looking at the drainage, the watershed. They're looking at, there's wetlands shown on the plan, the floodplain shown on the plan, FEMA shown on the plan. So a lot of times those issues are addressed, but there are certain issues where I 100% believe you guys might want to get your own reviewer because of the uniqueness of the property. I don't know that you can write down a rule that says every property that's over an acre, we're going to get a review. I think you just have to go case by case and use your best judgment.
And I think most of the times, like I said, there's been maybe 6 times we've used peer review, 6 or 7, in the 4 years that I've been on the commission.
Yeah.
And each one of them had multiple resource areas.
I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
But I mean, we don't use it in every case that comes before us. Most of the times we can look at what's in front of us and say, yeah, we can come to a good decision or a good compromise. So, I mean, I agree with what you're saying in some respect. Yes, I do.
I agree. I'm not saying you're overusing the review engineer at all. But it's also hard for you guys to write a policy as to when you will, because everything is different.
Well, and that's just it, yeah.
It's easier to say like a commercial project or a large multifamily project, that has a lot of activity in buffer zones. Yeah, you're going to want, some review, some serious review, just as the planning board does. And there might be smaller projects where you can rely on the town's consulting engineer. Maybe you're satisfied with that. It's too hard.
The only thing with the town's consulting engineer for stormwater is that I don't think they're really looking at the buffer zone. That's my whole thing.
I know they do, but maybe there may be some projects where you want an elevated or more in-depth look. Yeah, exactly. You can bring it up at your hearing and they can debate whether it's necessary.
Intermittent streams versus, a perennial stream,
Yeah.
and
Well, they're coming to you anyhow. I mean, most of those projects have to file. If they're within a buffer or near a stream, they have to file with you.
Right.
And so, as has been the rule all the time, if I went to the planning board first with a project with site plan review, and they approve it, the planning board actually puts it in their decisions that if the Conservation Commission makes any sort of different ruling, you have to come back to the planning board with showing us the revised plans.
Right.
Because they may have said, this building location is fine, you may say no. So it does have to go back.
Right.
You're listening to each other. And that's why we have to file 18 copies of plans when we file with the planning board or the zoning board at times, because everyone gets a copy.
Right.
And everyone can say, this is going to require Concom approval.
So maybe we should have joint meetings instead of individual. Have planning and conservation together.
Some towns do that on large projects.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I think in the single-family home,
Those are usually
yeah.
pretty.
yeah,
Those ones are typically
Usually on a single-family home, we don't ask for peer review. I don't think we ever have.
No, I'm going
Yeah.
back to now.
Yeah, right.
When you start locally extending buffer zones, you are now affecting private property interests, especially in the single-family homes, because usually around ponds, it's single-family homes.
But we didn't extend it. It's been a rule, and it was actually a typo, I think, that Lynn found.
It was 20. but
They had it
typo.
when the bylaws were updated.
Yeah.
There was actually a typo.
But I believe the state, did you mention the state pond regulation is 100,
Yeah,
and Abington is 200?
it's been 200 since 2003.
Yes, within the town,
Right,
but not in the state.
right.
So
Is that one? That's town charter, right? Not a regulation?
No, it's not a regulation, it's bylaw.
It's in the
Yeah.
bylaw.
Yeah, so that's open meeting.
Not charter, but bylaw.
Right, so the townspeople voted for
Oh, yeah.
the extra
Yeah,
protection.
if you revise the bylaw, even if you change the word, it goes to, I believe, to town meeting to approve it, right? And the AG would review, well, they review zoning laws, I don't know if they review every bylaw, every general. I think they do review every general bylaw like this. A regulation is done right here.
Right,
But I know we're only talking about the bylaw, I have more to say about the regulations later. It's just, and I'm not, you guys are all volunteers, and I volunteer for a lot of things, you know. I'm not criticizing you, I'm just saying, I wanted to offer you the other side of the fence, what it looks like. That we have to be careful, just because we can issue a regulation, sometimes we don't need to, or as we try to enact it and put it in play, we realize we gotta tweak this somehow, we gotta pull it back, or do something with it. But the bylaw, the only thing I was looking at right now was the notice. What I would suggest you make it consistent with the state, so that anybody comes into this town knows exactly what to expect, and you guys know what to expect from them.
At the
think that-
same time, every town is already going to be different.
right.
Their
I was just,
bylaws
well,
and-
I mean, if you look at the town of Norwell, I mean, their regulations are a lot different than ours. In some cases, they're even more stricter. So this is what I was just thinking, the
I
same
get
thing.
what he's saying on like the basic things, like the notification. I don't see the reason for the indifferences.
Norwell, we don't have the North
Right.
River going
There,
through
you know,
Abington.
the thing,
Hull has an ocean, and they have estuaries, they have all sorts of, every town has different wetlands issues.
Halifax and Hanson, I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be an ocean thing. It can be, I'm just saying, each and every town. If you look at Rockland, Whitman, Abington, Hanson, Halifax, Holbrook,
So
I
the
mean-
reason that we're making different rules in Abington is because other towns do, I think that's bad. Right?
no. What I'm saying, I'm just pointing out that each and every town you go to, they have something different than
That's state.
the state.
But that's also because each town is different in its own unique way.
Right.
As it relates to their preservation. But I think as far as notification, I think the point, and I don't want to speak for Sean, but I think the point, the way I'm understanding it is, if it's consistent with the state, it's easy. Because everybody who's going to be filing will know what that is. And then the abutters should understand
But I
that
don't know if-
7 days, and if you don't get it, I'm sorry. But if they say, oh, well, they come on, they do it because they think it's 7 days, they come and we go, oh, sorry, gotcha, it's 10 days, we're not having a hearing, and if they make it or don't make it, chances are they're not going to make it the second one anyways.
How many times
So-
have we had a gotcha situation though because of a mailing? I don't know if we have.
Yeah, I think he's highlighting
Yeah.
Potential trip.
potential
Hey,
trips.
here's the thing. And I've been trying to figure things out. I've been trying to figure out why there's a 200-foot buffer for ponds and lakes. You know, this had to be approved by the commission, had to go probably the select board, had
Town
to go to
meeting.
town meeting.
Yep.
There had to be people who said, this is why we want to do it. So what was going on that made them say, we want 10 days instead of 7? There was probably issues enough that they said, you know what, we need this, we need to make this change.
So I would
That's-
just ask you to consider it now. Do you still think that
Right,
that's
well,
a
the thing is,
reasonable
you could
action?
make that same argument for any part of the bylaw to say, well,
I'd be
just keep it all at
curious-
the state level, don't make a bylaw if the argument's gonna be, this is too difficult for someone from outside of Abington. And we have had a lot of cases like IVWs, people just, even wetland scientists going, oh, yeah, I didn't put on the plan
You mentioned a
because.
1,000-foot rule or something, the one that was previously here.
Because in the bylaw, we didn't define what we mean by an isolated vegetated wetland, so we have to go by what the state says. how the state defines it.
And I saw the hearing, and I saw the engineer was saying 1,500 is what the state says, and you said, no, the local bylaw is 1,000,
No, it was
right?
the,
Thousand
no,
square
the
foot.
bylaw
Where's your
protects,
cut sheet?
it protects isolated vegetated wetlands. And that's the big thing that people keep, they're not reading the full bylaw.
Right.
Or they think, a lot of times they come in and will say, oh, it looks like you have a vernal pool there. Could that be a vernal pool? And they say, no, it's not certified. It's like, but that's not how Abington is.
I was asked the question about what's the difference in Abington? Why is it 1,000 square feet and the state's is something else? I said, there is no 1,000 square feet. But you would said in the meeting, there's 1,000 square feet bylaw in Abington. I'm like, I've never seen it.
No. It's the definition of the state about the size of what an IVW is.
Mhm.
So if it's
Oh, wait a
if
minute, do
the
I still have
size
that
Yeah,
here?
here's your-
of that
Hold on, I got a
isolated
chart right here.
1,000 feet, and the state would say, yeah, but
Okay.
that's worthier. That is an IVW.
Okay, summary key differences between an IVW and ILSF is the minimum size for an,
Can you do me a favor while you're talking to your son? Can you, instead of using abbreviations, can you say what you're talking about?
Oh,
Because
and-
can't follow it.
okay, an isolated vegetated wetland versus an isolated land subject to flooding. That's an IVW versus an ILSF. The minimum size for an isolated vegetated wetland must be at least 1,000 square feet. Isolated land subject to flooding, an ILSF, must hold a volume of at least a quarter acre foot of water.
That's
That's
what I
the
was
difference.
referring to.
Different, right.
That's the difference
It wasn't-
between that.
It wasn't a buffer. It was just, if you say there's an isolated vegetated wetland, one of the criteria for calling it that is it has to be
Maybe it
about
was
1,000.
miscommunicated to me, or maybe you misspoke, but somehow it came out as it was 1,000 square foot bylaw in Abington. I said, I read through the bylaw and there's no mention.
No.
No, it's just the difference between
And
the
I
two
missed-
types of.
misspoke, but-
I don't
Yeah.
know what happened.
Yeah, no.
I don't
I
speak the
think-
language completely.
Right.
But as far as procedure will go, back to the notice thing, I would just suggest you seriously consider trying to make it consistent throughout it. Unless you see some strong benefit why you want to be different, okay, but certificates of mailing should be allowed. The DEP allows it, it's just cheaper, because I don't know if you've ever spent any sort of mail data. Gone the day, it's about 50, now it's very expensive. And when you have added to the other bylaw where it says I have to send notice to everybody across the pond, not just those within 100 feet, I'm spending a lot of money sending on notices to people who are 500 feet away from me. So I ask you to consider that and just, make it more fair, more reasonable, and more just cost effective. I don't want to spend a lot of time with you. I just wanted to bring that up. I'm sorry for the late notice because I didn't think I was going to be here, so I wrote that up and I sent it to Nick and Lynn and whoever I had an email from. And you've got it now, so you can consider it. I told my wife I'd be home at 8, so I have to go. So.
Uh-oh, you're in trouble.
Like,
All right.
Sorry.
Good night.
Thank you.
Oh,
Sonia.
congratulations, Abington's finest. Yes, I saw the rerun. Congratulations, Mr. Riley. Abington's best right here. He was awarded that last night at the Board of Select Board's meeting.
oh, very nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a nice thing.
That is nice.
I saw it on the rerun today because I didn't catch it live. So, sorry.
I just don't like doing anything that makes it look like we are trying to hide something. And that's the way I think it would come across. People get mad if a board changes their time that they meet.
Yeah.
And, we got a whole bunch of people who were furious saying they hadn't been notified. And they were going up and down the street leaving, flyers in each other's,
Yeah, it did turn out they were all notified though.
They were, and you found the green cards. for them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the impression was that things were being,
At the meeting when they spoke,
and that's my worry is.
yeah.
The other thing is that we don't
Yeah,
know.
we're never going to get past people choosing to say they want.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I'm just hesitant to make a change when I don't know the rationale for why some of it was done back 20-something years ago. If it's been working, but I don't want to go up in town meeting and have to say, we're going to make it harder for you guys to know about something.
Is it harder or streamlining? Because if they also know that, hey, I work in another town in another field, and we've got to notify 7 days out.
what does,
You know, I mean,
Some
that-
other town is gonna be 15 days, and another town's gonna be 14, and another town's gonna be 10 business days, and another town's gonna be 5. You have to, it's on you to figure out what it is for the town.
Might be
And
worth
unfortunately, you know, if we didn't have this and this whole, every town getting to do their own little thing, then it would absolutely be consistent.
what
but-
do other boards within the town do? What does, I know,
Planning and zoning?
yeah,
I
planning.
don't know. What are
So
their
I-
requirements?
At the last town meeting, I had to change to align it exactly with the state's language because it was different.
So other boards have already done it.
Both zoning and, well, planning board, what is their requirement, do you know?
I don't know planning boards. Zoning though was different from the state. It was causing confusion and caused an issue on an application. I proposed to change it to align exactly with the state.
Okay.
Which is one of those things that we should look at across the boards to make sure that they're either everybody's 10 days or 15 days or 30 days or everybody's 7 days or whatever. Again, we've got technology that we didn't have 20 years ago that people can
Zoning is
watch in and
intensive than
Because I would say my,
But I mean, it's really
wetland
easy.
regulations because zoning does a butters and then a butters of a butters within 300 feet, and it has 2 postings in the newspaper. So it's more intensive, but
Yeah, it sounds more intense.
we did walk it back a tiny bit, so just align with the state, keep it a little cleaner.
But the
I
thing
think
is,
it might be worth looking at some neighboring towns and see what if everyone has
If anybody's aligned with the
7
state.
and we're an outlier, if it does kind of jump around a bit. I certainly see where Sean's come up. The notifications kind of
I mean, it's definitely
Something
worth
to
looking
follow.
at. I won't say it's not, and, we're gonna take every recommendation from everybody. I mean, it would be nice to get something out to the people to see what their feedback would be, whether we have a survey for conservation and say, we're thinking of doing this, what are your thoughts? Like other people send out
yeah.
surveys.
It's also it's a bylaw change. It goes.
No, I know.
At town meeting,
Yeah.
and that's
Right,
kind of the survey. If
Yeah.
something gets denied at town meeting, don't take it personally. It's just
Yeah,
it's how our town government is.
because I think what my biggest fear would be is we go all the way through the process with everything. And I can't speak for sure, but Sean just pointed out that some applicants have already done notified mail instead of certified mail in the past,
a certificate of mail.
or certificate of mail. So,
certified mail, yeah.
Yeah, so I know I don't look at it intensely. I don't know if you do, how intensely, whether it's 10 days or.
I mean,
I'm just saying it.
I'm just getting there.
Right.
Slip something in the back.
I'm just saying I would hate for something to go all the way through us, we get it, order conditions and everything, and then somebody find an inconsistency because the applicant went by the state conditions, like Sean said, is what
But
they're.
in 4 years, I've never seen that happen.
I understand that, but now it's been exposed, and now there's.
no, I mean, the thing is we've never had to deal with this, and we can go and we can look at every single town. I've done it before, and just see what they do, and they're probably all going to have their own procedures and policies. Just by looking at everybody's NOI checklists and all these other towns that we just took from and stole it from, they all had stuff like 7 days, 7 business days, 2 exact weeks, 10 business days, 1 week. It was all over the place. And so
Yeah.
when then we had to decide as a commission for our NOI checklist, what are we going to do? 2 weeks ahead of time, or are we going to do 7 days? Is it business days? Is it calendar days? And it's
Right.
going to probably be the same thing.
Notice I'd be curious about. I get a lot of calls from engineers and stuff. Do you guys have a checklist? Where is it? Where can I get it and stuff?
Yeah.
It's pretty rare. I do get it, but it's pretty rare I get a call asking if there's anything specific about our notices. They generally kind of all make the assumption.
assume that it's the 7
Usually
days
I'm
from the
just
state.
like getting a handful of green cards dropped to my lap, like, oh, we did it. Like,
Yeah.
it's great, thank you. So I'd be curious where the differences are there.
I don't think,
And
have
it's-
we ever had a situation where we've been like, it
No,
seems
I
like
don't
it's,
think
it works, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think
I'd come up with zoning recently, and I don't think they ever had a situation before, and then all of a sudden it happened. And it led to a continuance, kick someone out a month, was an expense.
But that's one project out of how many? Right.
depends on the size of the project, depends on how much money for
Yeah,
that.
for, generally the project feels pretty important to the applicant.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, I'm not trying to diss that, but I'm
Yeah.
just trying to say, do we change everything and go through the whole process of changing a bylaw, going to town meeting, trying to explain to people who are going to be like, what are you doing? Why are you making this change? And there's certain people who probably will be doing that and trying to justify it by saying, well, because we have this one situation. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
with
not-
zoning, I'm just aligning it with the state law.
I could see if it was to align with state law and with the other boards, so it was uniform through all boards within the town.
That was going to be my statement as well. I think we need to worry less about what everybody else is doing, and I think to make it easier for the people doing business in our town, if it's consistent across the boards, that we're all on the same page for notification. And certainly if it's that state notification, then it makes it consistent and easy across for everybody. It's
I think
what
when the-
most people are accustomed to.
The bylaw was put together, the increased buffer areas and resource areas and stuff like that, I'm assuming there was a pretty clear intent there of trying to protect
Yeah.
resources and everything
Right.
in Abington.
There's a major difference
And-
between a buffer zone and getting a
Yeah,
mailing to something.
that
That's
change
two
from 100 to
different.
200, I think that was very intentional to go different from the state.
Yeah, 'cause we got,
Adding resource, all that was thought out, I'm sure. It wasn't like, oh, I heard about a vernal pool the other day, let's throw it in there.
Yeah.
we definitely have.
But notice though, I think sometimes people kind of get a little crazy with the pen and fiddle with things that they think might be a cool idea. And that was pretty clear what the zoning was. It just,
I would really love to have the meeting minutes for when they were discussing the mailing issue. Was it just like,
I wonder if
you
it
know,
aligned
let's
with
do
the
something
state in
stricter.
2004.
huh?
2003 or
But I'd be
2003.
curious if it aligned with the state in 2003.
Oh, I mean, the Wetlands Protection Act, that hasn't changed there.
Are you
He
talking
was
about the
mentioning
mailing
it.
only?
Yeah, the mailing
You're
notification.
talking about the mailing notification back
I
in
don't
2006?
think it
I don't
has
think it's
changed.
state. I don't know.
It might change,
Who knows?
but not for mailing.
That's a good project. Go to the library and look it up.
the newspaper that I'm getting.
Huh?
Talk about changing the newspaper requirement.
They're talking about that? Yeah, you're right,
I mean,
yeah.
How many people get the newspaper anymore?
They're
There's some towns that
also,
don't have a local paper to point to either.
Yeah, what-
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a lot more pressing issues that have been highlighted. Where any of us, I did a little digging and I couldn't find anything. Did you find anything on buffers into other people's property?
I
Did
think I
anyone?
talked to somebody at DEP and they said there's nothing about that.
So I
It's
would
not the
say,
Wetlands Protection Act.
I would say that's more pressing of an issue for a town bylaw than anything. If you're going to do a reclamation, it has to maintain on your property and it cannot exceed your property's limits or affect an abutter's property.
Yeah.
Because if somebody put a reclamation behind me and all of a sudden I put a deck in my yard now that I could have before they did the work because now it falls within a 100-foot buffer, that would definitely be an issue to me.
That's what Sean's talking about as far as affecting other people's property.
Right. I would say that's an issue that needs to be a bylaw amendment or institution before we worry about a mailing. I would definitely say, yeah, the mailing, if we were going to make everything aligned to make Nick's job easier and everybody else's jobs more straightforward in the office, I could see that. But I definitely could see pushback at the town meeting. I could see no issues with, like what Sean was saying, with buffers and everything going right through. You know, I just think we need to pick our battles right now. from what we're seeing going on and work from there. We're dealing with a lot of years of mismanagement or not the best, not even mismanagement, maybe, well, the town's changed a lot in the last 5 or 6 years to see things that it never saw before. And we're now dealing with things that it's never had to deal with.
Yeah.
So we definitely need to make sure we're acting within the best interests of the townspeople and.
We have to make
conserving-
sure that we are following regulations. Yeah, I get it. I agree. And the mailing is minute compared to some of the other regulations. 200 foot for a pond was probably put there for a very good reason,
Well, scientifically speaking,
scientifically
Well,
speaking.
I mean-
we have a unique situation in Abington here for our watershed. We have, I know you know all the streams very well.
The Schutter-Metuscan is the major supplier to
That
our wells
all
on
cut over
Myers
to the
Ave.
wells.
So you really don't want people living around Island Grove
Exactly.
having debris and everything planted right up to it, because as it is now, we know the effect of fertilizers and how it creates an atmosphere in the water that creates all these invasive species to just keep multiplying every time they fertilize their yard.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and our water supply is fed by that river that goes down to Meyer Street and that whole wetland in behind there. It supplies the water to recharge the underground aquifer. We're pulling our well water out of there.
Exactly. And
I mean-
we have a unique situation that a lot of towns don't have with those aquifers and everything, and I can see why
Yeah.
that was looked into. So,
There's a lot to think about here.
right.
So I think this was a great informational. I want to take his letter and read this more thoroughly because, you know, I didn't have an opportunity to print it off. And I wasn't on the email. You forwarded the email this afternoon, so thank you.
Yeah, it's fine. Got it.
Yeah.
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 You're in Maryland, so you have a lot of other things.
It came today. I
Oh.
was monitoring my email from Maryland, but
Okay.
like Sean said, I think he intended on coming here and presenting it himself, and then he wasn't sure if he was going to make it, so then he kind of
Yeah.
shot out the email quick, and then I guess ended up being able to make it. But
I mean, I wanted to hear what he had to say, but I also wanted to just read through this too.
yeah, we're not looking to vote on any kind of
no.
Right.
bylaw
Yeah.
change
You know,
or suggestions like that today, anyways.
I could see that one being one that would have a lot of pushback.
Yeah, the zoning didn't have any, but the
What's going to have a lot of pushback?
Well, if we're trying to change things
For notification.
for notification,
I'm just very leery of that, given some of the stuff that's happened recently.
Yeah.
right, just, there's quite a few hot topics
Yep.
currently
Yep.
surrounding the board. So anything we do, people, like Lynn just said, they're gonna think we're trying to hide something. So, look at the selectmen meeting time change. Everybody thought they were trying to hide something by going earlier. And I'm like, do people realize how late these meetings go?
I understand, but a lot of people do work till 5 o'clock too.
Yep.
I mean, I used to
Most
work.
everybody I know works at that.
Yeah, I mean, I always work 9 to 5.
I've never seen anybody.
I don't. It's
It's a tough.
selectmen's meeting time has nothing to do with this board.
No, I know.
No,
we were
no,
just,
I'm just
we were just
saying-
saying
Not
as an
something we're
example.
looking at right
No,
now.
we were just saying that as an example. I
Yeah.
mean, no, we're not trying to.
Like-
No, that was just an example. People were mentioning it, but anyway. So
I don't think you're gonna get, in terms of what you were talking about if you do a replication, you can't have it affect an abutter. I could see that being okay. I think you'd also get people who are pushing back to say, wait a minute, I want the opportunity to develop my land and do it however I want. I don't necessarily care about my neighbor. I don't, there might be more of the people in the town saying, hey, don't mess around with my land, than that, but I could see a little bit of pushback.
But you can see how those borders can get blurry when you start pushing down on a particular area, and that's going to change, and they're growing and expanding and contracting. That could easily affect somebody's property as they, okay, well, I've got 150 feet, but now this is kind of encroaching, and now that changes my setback for what I want to do for my
Right.
property.
It's one thing if it's done naturally and nature does it, but when you're developing a site and you're creating or you're replicating, and now you've created this buffer and it's affecting somebody else, that should not be happening.
And the important thing with, I think this change, I think we're all looking at is bylaw change, not a regulation.
Yep.
Correct.
So it goes to town meeting. The town has a chance to speak their mind on it.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about getting kind of ripped apart. That happens.
Yeah.
But it's a part of it. Things get voted down. And then you know that's not what the town wants.
And if they vote it down, then they vote it down.
The town doesn't
You
care
know?
about that.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Then
And you
nobody,
move forward understanding that that's the intent of the town and what they want.
and then nobody has the right to stand up here at the podium and say, I don't want that developer to put a buffer into my yard.
I mean,
Well-
they still can.
Well, they can, but
Let's say that it it doesn't pass, but you were the one of the people who voted for it.
right,
Then,
but
I think you could still say that.
Yeah, that's, look at your neighbors. Talk to them about it. It's the way the town voters shape the town, and
Majority rules.
it's a nice way it happens, and it's something gets put out of discussion. Sometimes ideas come up that people haven't thought of.
The other thing too is, talking about going back to the peer review, and right now it's only for if you have an application, and just thinking about the back and forth when we have enforcement. And the thing is, a lot of times the people who are coming before us, right, they're coming at it from their point of view. But we're supposed to represent the town, the people of town. And if somebody I'm doing my property, and then a neighbor is like completely innocent, has no idea what you're doing, and then they're like, what's going on? They're impacted, and they can be negatively impacted. So we have to be thinking not just of making it easier on someone with a project, but how does that affect me as a neighbor or as an abutter? Is my property going to get flooded? So those are the things that we're supposed to be taking into account with that. I think that cumulative impact thing.
Especially if a butter, if you, like you mentioned earlier about how many trees, how much water a tree can hold. If those trees are gone, where's that water gonna go?
Exactly.
To a butter's yard, somewhere else. I mean,
Yeah.
that's always gonna affect an abutter, and
Right.
especially if you cut down trees. So that's why I
Right.
think everybody should be notified.
So I just feel like with these enforcement, when you have people who are filling in like acres and acres of wetlands, we have nobody to represent the town in those situations. So they could say, you could have someone who's a bad actor, who's like, yeah, sure, I dug some holes, and they make it up or something like that. And then we have no way of verifying that. We're not going to go walk on somebody's property and then say, yeah, we just brought a backhoe, we're going to do it ourselves. But it would be nice if we have that, and we're going to say, you need to go out and do a delineation, if we have somebody there from us there. So it's all done, there's no back and forth. Go out and do another hole. No, I don't like where this hole was. You did it wrong. Why didn't you go down 10 feet and you only went down 8? Like that sort of thing we wouldn't have to worry about it. But with the bylaws written, we can't do that. We can't have anybody represent us.
Yeah.
So if we want to add in to the bylaw as it's already written and enforcement,
Yeah.
that's another option to consider. I don't know what you guys think.
We found ourselves in that position quite a bit.
We're in a situation where we all work for livings, or we've got families and all kinds of stuff going on. We're not wetland scientists, and we're at a disadvantage, frankly, when we're doing the best we can to look at these projects. And if we can ask somebody who's, an expert and can advise us and say, yeah, and if we're like, well, what about this? And he could say, that's not important. What's important is this.
It's protecting the 8 interests of the act.
Someone to work with the conservation committee and other committees as well. I know it's not in the planning, but we used to have someone, I believe. You know what I'm saying? So is that just funding issue? Is that something that
Some,
we should possibly bring up so this peer review or any other issues won't happen, or we could have them for more guidance?
it would be nice to be able to have a peer reviewer, on retainer, so as if we needed them, we could pay them per diem, but, you know, there aren't really a lot of people who do that. You know, like-
Need to be funded somehow.
Yeah.
Where's the money
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
from, but
Yeah,
I just didn't know if that was something that we were
This year.
pursuing.
right.
It's not
But
happening
no,
anytime soon.
I mean, not for nothing, but I know that there is a few towns that have regular people that they use. I don't know if they're on retainer or
like
not.
The planning board's engineer, the planning board doesn't pay for it, the applicant does.
Yeah,
And same with us, so,
Yeah.
but in having somebody on retainer, I assume that we would have to,
yeah, make it worth their while to be available. I mean, and that's almost impossible. We just can't do it unless it was a small, you know, like a Ken Thompson or something, but, you know, that's not
Nobody wants to
happening.
work for free either.
No.
Yeah.
no.
Our very first peer reviewer was awesome. He was just like Bob Grady. We met him.
Mhm.
But yeah, anyway. Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Oh,
Sounds good.
second.
But
Oh, wait a minute. She's gonna go sit.
I was gonna say, we still have more.
Do we?
No,
Do we feel good about this conversation?
I think
It's a good beginning
it's a
conversation.
nice start.
Yeah.
So building permits, site visits, blah, 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 blah.
We'll
I think
make us-
sometime maybe
Oh, sorry.
November, December, maybe have a different conversation, see if we actually want to try to get something on town meeting.
What's the cutoff for town meeting?
I'll have to look it up. The meeting's not until May this year, so it's a little late. But I'm
Isn't
not
it-
sure what the cutoff is for it.
Isn't it like 3 months before or something like that? I want to think.
It's a good chunk before.
Yeah.
But obviously, we would need to figure out exactly what language we're looking at. It would get run through town council,
Absolutely.
get run through the select board, and then, get it on there. But to really have a more concrete, if we want something, if we don't, that's fine too. But see what can on there. And all these things too, that's individually voted on. So it's not, we can't do this because we're hoping to get this through. It's, they go through one by one and decide on them. Some changes that are only one or two words sometimes can be the ones that are the most exciting at town meeting. But
The will or shalls can be very controversial.
Shall and shall not.
Okay, so we defer this, have the next conversation. and
yeah, I don't think anything needs to be done. I just
Just,
something I like. to
November,
keep,
we
keep
don't
going.
have any meetings.
Maybe the first one, December.
Yeah.
And we can just talk about the agenda when it comes up, see what we got going. But I think it's a good conversation to have. If anyone else comes with any ideas that they really think we should dig into, we do it. It's kind of a living document, so
Yeah.
keep it flowing.
And it will probably, if that bill passes, we
We'll
will
probably
have
need
to
to make some
update it.
Yeah.
And when is that set to
I mean,
go?
I don't know if it's gonna pass or not. It was proposed by the governor, so it's not like some small, town person submitted it and they all went whatever. But there's a lot in there that some of it's good, some of it I don't agree with. Like if somebody wants to appeal, let's say we make a decision and a butter hates it. Right now they can appeal to DEP, but in the new law, they have to go to court,
Yeah,
which I think is
that's unfair.
very unfair.
So it's taking the right of an abutter away from them and making it an expense.
Yeah, they have to get, I mean,
Is the DEP appeal free?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Is it?
Or it's probably hardly any money.
Yeah, I mean, appealing to the court usually doesn't have a huge fan of it. It's just who you hire to represent you.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to hire a lawyer.
Yeah.
And how long does it take to actually get on the docket to do something about it?
Yeah.
Those can't be very high on the
No.
list of.
And it's just going to clutter the court system unbelievably.
So
I mean,
that
like,
was
it's, like, how fast does it take to get stuff through the court system now?
Depends on what you're doing.
The project will be done before your appeal is
Yep,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yep,
filed.
yep.
You finally get to see a judge and everything's already built.
I mean, I know people that are still, it'll be 2 years this November, they're still waiting for a decision from a judge. 2 years.
I can't imagine that the applicants would be okay with this either, because their project would get tied up.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas before, you know, DEP, slow as they are, you would get the go-ahead. Yep,
Yep.
you're good. Sorry, applicant, you're a butter. Sorry.
It's a lot faster than the court system,
But if you
that's
have
for
to
sure.
court, it's not a plus for anybody, and I think it's a real downside for the homeowner overall. But,
It's a known situation.
yeah. Okay, so December. We
Yeah,
will-
so everyone chance to
Defer to December.
First meeting in December.
Yeah, aim for it.
Yeah, because we only have one in December.
So I guess the only meeting is December then.
Maybe we won't.
Cool. All right, well, this is a lot longer than I thought it would be. Sorry, guys. So, building permit site visits. We had SEOA 40577, the mountain biking trail over in Ames Knoll. I went there and tripped on the road while a car was coming. I didn't realize we parked in this one area on Chestnut Street. So like a turn off, you know, dirt road. I didn't realize how big the lip was
Oh,
from the dirt onto the, and it was tall. It was like this tall, and I went bam, and there's a car coming, and I'm like, roll, roll, roll. And then, you know, he was like, oh my God, this is bad. Like, how far is it? It's a long way. But I was fine. I didn't even cut anything.
yeah.
But the woe just that it needed to be fixed. It's only this wide.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one section that had one board left in the middle, just mud everywhere. And I'm like, and then you get on it and it's shaking, and all these other boards have just completely broken and they're still there and collapsed. And I'm like, please let this not be, like, I'm the one who causes it to finally break. And, but it's, he was showing us where they were going to store everything. They put the DEP sign up. I think I sent you the email with a picture of it. And they want to get it done over the course of a couple weekends. And that's it. They've got people from the mountain biking club who are volunteering, and they've got all
pretty
the
good.
boards, and it's
Yeah.
working.
Good.
Boy, did it need it.
Yeah.
Holy crap. He was like, oh yeah, some of them are upset that it's going to be a little lighter.
Well, yeah, because it's challenging to get your,
They want it that way.
yeah, it's a challenge.
Extreme biking.
Yeah, extreme is
Especially
perfect.
on the one. I said, are people like actually doing that? Or he's like, oh yeah, they love that one little thing right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Nope. So that's all good. And 739 Linwood Street.
That's not like.
That's James Melvin.
Yeah.
That's what?
That's Ames
No.
Knoll.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
address.
I thought, okay.
You just did it.
I was like, wait, didn't
She's tired.
you fall down around there?
Chestnut Street. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but that's the backside, that's the backside
You
of
said that
Ames
was
Knoll.
the easiest entrance to get to
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
to show us.
And there was another entrance, but you'd have to go through the wires,
High tension.
high tension.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess I'm not going to say this while it's on recording about it. I'll tell you a little after, but they don't know if they have access
I
to
was gonna
get
say,
through.
they ignored
There's some
the
automatic
It would be
signs.
easier to go through that way to get all the equipment in that way. So they were going to talk to National Grid and see if they could get through,
Okay.
but I don't know if that happened. Or they're going to go the way I was, either that way or there was another alternative way.
Yeah.
But they would have preferred going through that area if they could.
Gotta do what they gotta do.
Yeah. It's locked up. Can't get through. Okay?
Okay.
Rich, you had something you want to say?
Motion to adjourn.
John
All in
seconded.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Unanimous.
Thank you.